Odor. Okay. We have money's good. How do you feel about money? Could be good or bad feelings. There's no right or wrong answer.
Money is freedom.
Freedom, okay. Which is actually one of the personalities we'll talk about today. How do you feel about money?
Like,
It's a headache. Yeah. I feel like I have mixed feelings. Like sometimes it's security for me, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it is freedom for me, gives me the ability to do things. But we all have different feelings about money, different emotions and personalities about finances as well. So we all learn our money values and thoughts differently. It might have been that you took some classes in high school, some financial education classes that may have taught you some things. Maybe you're self-taught, meaning maybe you hit some bumps in the road. Maybe you went off to college, got that first credit card, didn't know how to manage it, got into some trouble. Maybe that kind of shaped how you feel about money today. Another is cultural. So depending on your upbringing, I know some cultures view money as different. Just being in the branches, like a lot of the Latino community view borrowing, for example, as bad. So I'd have people come in, they just fear debt, they don't want to take out loans. They have the idea that we have to pay everything in cash, but later on in life, when you need a $400,000 or $500,000 house, right, and they've never borrowed their whole life, that can cause some issues. I also have a friend who just moved to Scotland last year, and she said it's very hard to get a credit card out there. So it's not like America, you can just get them like candy anywhere. I think we are one of the countries that probably has some of the higher credit card debt than the rest of the world, but depending on your upbringing, that could have influenced that. I think it's like a cultural thing, like just I feel like in America, what's the word? Like a consumer. Yeah, I just seen that come out on the news yesterday, and it has spiked significantly. I think it was from like 2022 to the end of last year, but we're like reached the highest credit card debt that we've ever had in this country, which is kind of scary, right? So there, experts were saying, because we just passed holiday season, I beg to differ with that one. I think a lot of it is inflation, the cost of living. More people are living paycheck to paycheck and have to put those type of things on your credit card. So there's different things. And then depending on too, like for me, my upbringing, my family didn't have money. So I kind of learned bad habits from my parents, but more of like what not to do, right? Like I knew when I grew up, I didn't want to always be scrambling on how I'm going to pay rent or how I'm going to afford the things that I want. So um, depending where you learned, it can influence you in maybe a good way or a bad way. Did anybody learn about finances in high school or from parents, friends? Yeah. You took some classes or okay. Yeah. 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 And you guys look a little older, but like I know we didn't have anything finance related when I was in high school, which was kind of a long time ago now, like 16 years ago. But now there's a lot of states that do require it. I think they're up to 21 or 26 states that actually have it as a graduation requirement. And then like Colorado, we're not one of the ones that require it, but they've put it on up to the districts. So some districts I go teach high schools, it is in their graduation requirement, some it's not. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 to 10 years if it's across the board a requirement. So we'll see more and more education in the schooling system around finances. Now, if you had to label yourself a saver or spender, what do you guys think you are? You think you're saver? With the freedom, you're still a saver? And you said spender, okay. So yeah, and there's no right or wrong answer. And sometimes people think they're one way, and then you take one of the quizzes and you're like, oh, maybe I'm a little bit more this way. I would say I've been both. I became a saver more in the last year, and that's because I kind of have a fear of being in debt. I had a lot of credit card debt a couple years ago, and I fear that I don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck trying to pay down debt. But before that, I was a huge spender, kind of like you said, you're a spender. I had FOMO. So when I was in my 20s, any concert that came through town or music festival, I had to buy tickets, even if I knew I didn't have the money, right? I just got it on my credit card. I knew my friends were going to be there. I had to be there. If I seen something on sale or something I really wanted to buy, I was scared maybe it would sell out or I wouldn't be able to purchase it, I bought it, right? Which is, it's a personality. You're laughing, but a lot of people are like this, and it's not a good way to be. You end up in a lot of credit card debt. What are you, Jason? Saver or spender? A little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of both. Obviously pay myself first. There's always savings, but same thing. Like I enjoy spending money for experience. So
Yeah.
Definitely like experiences, like taking my kids to experience things. I love concerts as well, which
Yes.
things like that. I like spending.
Yeah. So and these can your personality, by the way, can change over time too. You might be, like I said, one way in your early 20s, and then in your 50s, you're completely opposite. So things change as we go through adulthood as well. Most of us aren't super savers, and we're not crazy spenders. Sometimes we're kind of in the middle, like Jason says. Research has come up with some names of some different personality types you can see here on the screen. You might fall along some of these. Some of these are funny. Some of them you've probably heard before, like hoarders or high roller, risk taker. Maybe you're a security seeker. You're a planner. Maybe you're a people pleaser. So there's all different kinds of terms to our specific personality types. What's the best financial advice you've ever received, and who was it from?
I think that's why I think to spend money on, and then spending on the reason. There are some things that you can survive without the money.
Yeah.
So just have priority spending money on skills.
Yeah, I love that. And did you learn that from your parents? Husband, okay. No, that's great. I love that. What about you guys? I was trying to think of what advice somebody's given me when I was reading this earlier. I'm like, I don't know.
For me, I would say, so growing up, we didn't have a lot of money.
Mhm.
My dad worked with 4 kids. I got a brother who's stable, so my mom always stayed at home. So he worked really hard to provide for us. And I always remember seeing my dad doing bills, writing on an envelope and going through it. And he always just told me, just ask questions. Don't know, ask questions. Can't hurt, right? So, if there's there's ever a time that you don't know anything, something financially, just ask those questions, because there's always someone there that can help you out. With the answer. So
Yeah. I would say,
not the best advice, but
yeah,
that's what my dad said.
I know I didn't receive good financial advice from my parents. Like I said, we didn't even really talk about money in my household. But I do have some aunts and uncles who are very frugal. So I would say I see that they do well for themselves, but kind of like to what you were saying, they have money if they need it, but they're just like, don't ever buy new clothes. My aunt's probably still rocking some clothes from the thrift store 10 years ago, just very frugal, saves food, freezes it. But in the event of an emergency or things arise, she has money there because she's been good with the security of money. Much of the financial advice that we receive in our life is value driven. So again, is represented by our quality, situations, maybe material things that we cherish the most. So these again are some just sayings that you guys might have heard. Some of the ones that I've heard that stood out to me was put your money where your mouth is. Sure, you guys have heard that one. There was another one, the best things in life are free. I've heard that term before. It takes money to make money. And I feel like those are the risk takers. You'll hear that a lot, usually business people that wheel and deal. Yeah, entrepreneurs. Money talk, time is money. One that's not on here that I thought of that I have heard a lot is you can't take things with you when you go. So I've heard that a lot with younger people's mentality. I think they don't save, and they're like, well, it's just money. It comes and goes. You can't take it with you when you go. So I feel like those people tend to be the spenders.
I think that bottom,
Which no, go ahead, yeah.
Pretty prevalent now, especially if we talk about 1.2
Yes.
billion, 1.2
trillion.
credit card debt. Never spend your money before you have it, right? So it's not always a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like, I need this, I know I'm gonna get paid, but if something were to happen,
Yeah.
then you put it on the card and you don't have a way to pay it, and then the interest takes over and snowballs.
And I think that's a good one to kind of your guys' careers, because you are going to make good money. That kind of ties to when I first went to college. I didn't end up doing anything with my psychology degree, but I was going to school for psychology, got my bachelor's in psychology, and at 18 years old, I thought, oh man, I'm gonna, be a psychologist, make really good money. I can take these student loans out. And it wasn't to pay for school, it was just fun money, right? Because I'm like 18, came from a low income family. I wanted to go to those festivals. I wanted to buy things. But I took a lot of money before I knew that I would have it to pay it back, and also racked up quite a bit of student debt. So I love that you pointed that one out. That one's a good one. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Mhm.
so, oh,
Yeah, and that's what we encourage people with credit cards, right? Is we tell people that they are an essential tool to build credit. You can reap benefits of them because if you know how to pay them off every time, right, you can get a ton of rewards for them. But to your point, if you don't have a plan of how you're going to pay it back, that's where people start to get in trouble, right? If I want to go on a vacation, but I know that don't have enough extra each paycheck to save up for that vacation or to pay down that credit card, right? I'm not having a plan. Probably not a good idea because now I have a credit card debt and I'm going to be struggling to pay that credit card debt down. Whereas if I know, okay, well, I'm getting a tax return or a bonus next week and I can pay this money back in a couple weeks, then it's pretty safe. But to your point, yeah, you don't want to borrow outside of your means, just like you don't want to spend outside of your means. You guys, and you guys all have credit cards already? Yeah, okay. Oh, I have a quiz for you guys. Do you guys have pens? I figured you guys would have pens. He's like, you got some? Okay, good. I was like, I think they should have pens. I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to fill these out. And then we're gonna talk through your findings of your. One, two. Want to take it, Jason?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2 pages.
oh,
Sorry. I know, I was looking, I should have been front back. I don't realize when I printed it that it was 2 pages. I'll take one too, what the heck? And then, so when you guys are done with the quiz, there's a totals at the bottom. You'll put how many A's you got, how many B's, how many C's. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna go over them. Yeah. Your cheeks red. Yeah. So you probably will have two categories that are like, there's not one category typically that's really high. You usually have like two personalities, but you got exactly even two of them. I'm curious which ones it will be. I actually scored really high in one and lower in the others, which is. Does anyone need another minute? I think everybody's done. So how did your scoring work? I'm curious before I reveal what that means. Did anybody get a couple categories that were kind of similar? I know you did, or were you really high in one and low in the other three? Which one? You saying you're really high in B? I scored high in B too. You're high in B? High in B? What about you? C and D? Okay. What about you? B and D? Okay. So if you answered with a lot of A's, then you value money as a source of freedom. And so that's why I was, but you said you didn't get a lot of A's.
Well,
You got a
time to save money now so I can have.
freedom later.
freedom.
Okay. Okay. So if you had mostly A's, or a decent amount of A's, that means you value money as a source of freedom. You seek independence. You use money to provide you with excitement. So for things like adventure, new experiences, new things. May buy things for other after you achieve your own desires. Value the ability to travel and do things more than anything else. Tends to be either very rich or very poor. Are a loner when possible, and have never thought that balancing a checkbook or sticking to a budget is something worth doing. And you said you had A's and D's or C's. So I don't think anybody scored super high. I had 3 in this category, but the rest were in the B's. So if you know anybody like this, dangers this type of person would want to look for is impulse purchases. So kind of how I shared with you guys, I used to have FOMO and I used to buy stuff. That would be me under this category. If you're overly optimistic about risks, so maybe you are investing and you're being too optimistic about the money that you'll get back and maybe not being realistic, or you start a business and you're overly optimistic without thinking about the risks on the back end. You have high credit card debt. So again, it goes back to my example of having FOMO and always wanting to buy everything and all the experiences. I had a lot of high credit card debt at that time. Actions you would want to take if you had mostly A's is finding a plan to pay off those credit cards, really watching for those entrepreneurial oops. So just again, not being overly eager about opportunities working out before you've really thought them out. Automate savings to have an emergency fund, and seek and listen to advisors. So just to sum it up, A's can be laid back, they're intuitive and a people's person, they enjoy life and don't worry much about money. So kind of to that quote I told you guys, I hear young people say a lot, you can't take money with you when you go. They like the freedom. I think most of us, it sounds like, got most in B's. So if you got a lot of B's, that means you view money as a sense of safety and security. So you crave safety more than anything else. You value predictability and try to minimize the unknown. Want stability and know that insurance is valuable to your financial plan. Stick to the well-known blue chip companies for your investments. So again, not taking much risk with those investments, kind of going to the safe options. Selecting low risk investments. stay at the same job for a really long time, which I think that fits me high in B as well. I don't like job hopping, whereas I know people always are looking for the next best thing. So that is a part of your personality as well. You love bargains, coupons, flea markets, and you balance your checkbook regularly. If you are somebody who views money as security and safety, things you want to watch for is being too conservative with investing. So means you're really just playing it safe, right? You're not taking enough risk. A great deal on things not needed. So because you are a bargain shopper and always looking for, oh, this is a really good deal, you may buy things that you don't need. And then you're so focused. So this, I'm going to pick on you because you said you're want the safety now for freedom later. So this would be you, right? Your future focus, but you're stifling on life today. So you're not enjoying life in the moment because you're wanting to enjoy life later on, which is not a bad thing, but just that we need to enjoy life now as well. So for those of us that had mostly Bs, taking these actions, set aside not only the emergency money, which we do, right, with the security and safety, but also fun money. We have to have fun. Revealing your smart saving position, showing grace to others, and just taking a little bit more risk. So to sum up, B people are savers, like to make plans, we like to make lists, comparison shop, and we're trustworthy. That was B's. I think we had 2 that said they were high in C's. So if you you both are laughing, I love this one. So you guys feel that money buys power. You may put your energy wholeheartedly into work, the drive for success. You like to be in control and are comfortable managing people and projects. Will strive for the highest position of power possible. Assign details to other. Ignore budgets if they don't fit your plan. You like to have the newest things first. So again, when that new iPhone comes out or you see something you really need, you like to be the first one to have it on the market. And you love competition. If this is you, the things that you want to look for is taking too much risk. When it comes to power, it can lead to maybe being insensitive or impatient. Attitude is kind of like your self-worth equals your net worth. So you may equivalate having a lot of money to being a really good person or feeling really good. You may want to take these actions. Try comparison shopping, setting off a cooling period before purchasing. If you've been in our previous classes, we've talked a lot about like slowing down your spending. So if you're one of these people, so an easy example is the 24-hour rule. So if there's something that you really want, give yourself 24 hours before you purchase it. Studies have shown that if you do give yourself that time period, you've had time to assess, was this a good purchase? Do I really need this? Can I borrow it somewhere else? And it kind of helps with those in-purchase buyings, and then just really sticking to your budget. So again, in a nutshell, C people tend to be goal setters, you're hard workers, and they want your money, you want your money to work for them. And then if you had a lot of D's, you use money for pleasure or appreciation for yourself or others. So you like to spend money to bring pleasure to relationships. You're thoughtful, kind, and caring, and you're always there to help others. You treat people in special ways and offer them support and nurturing. You think of money as a way to make life more meaningful to friends and family. May sometimes use money to buy love when you're feeling needy. Then you may find yourself in a conflict between saving money and spending it. If you had mostly D's, you may want to watch for spending money you don't have, emotional spending. And I'm just going to pick on the emotional spending piece. Although this is a big part of D's personality, we all spend money based on emotion. I'm sure you guys can think of one time you spent money based on emotion, whether it was, you got a good grade on a test and you went to go celebrate and had a beer with your friends on a Friday night, or maybe you bombed a test and you were really mad and went and did retail therapy. But we do a lot of spending based on how we're feeling, if we're angry, if we're sad, if we're happy, and that tends to make us spend more money as well. This is huge with this one. You are a nice person, but a dangerous, toxic friends and family. And we see this a lot. We see really nice people getting taken advantage of all the time because you are so giving and may have a hard time telling people no. But there's limits to it too. You can't constantly give to others, especially if it's going to jeopardize your budget and your finances. So again, the next one, serving others to your own detriment. You may want to take these actions, set up automatic payments for bills and savings, limit payments options when out socially. So if you're somebody that does go out with your friends, I have some friends like this that they're oh, I'll get everybody the next round, and they're just spending money all night. Yep, that's not me. That's not me either. I'm like, I'll pay for my own. I don't like people paying for me because then I gotta pay you back. So whether you carry a certain amount of cash, right? So you know how much you have, you can't overspend, or just set a limit with yourself so you're not stuck always picking up the bill. And then remember, not everyone wants more stuff. And I have a friend like this, the friend I was telling you guys that moved to Scotland. When she lived here, she's the type of person, she feels like to get people to like her, she always had to spend money. And she had so much credit card debt with my old manager at the restaurant we worked at. I can't even tell you how many days I'd come into work. She'd have a basket of stuff for me. My birthday, before she left to Scotland last year, she bought me like $600 worth of stuff. And I'm like, I mean, it's nice, but I'm like, I can't afford that for your birthday. So, but it's just those type of people, they feel like they need to give. And I keep telling her that you don't have to buy your friendship. People will like you for you. But again, right, you get in that dangerous habit of just overly spending on others for the wrong reasons. So just be careful if you had a lot of D's. Now, overall, you may have learned a little bit about your personality today. Maybe you confirmed what you already knew. I asked you guys at the beginning if you're a saver, a spender. Maybe it wasn't what you expected, and you got some tips of how to be a little bit more careful. But hopefully it will help you understand a little bit your understanding and feelings around money and how you feel about them. This was a shorter money personality quiz. We have some resources up here. I do encourage you guys to, even if you don't want to write these down, you could just Google money personality. There's lots of good ones out there. There's some that are longer and a little bit more intuitive, but it's just kind of good to know those personalities that we have about money, because again, for those of us that view it as safety and security, right? We're not taking enough risk. We may be limiting ourselves to pleasures in life. Maybe you're spending too much on freedom and not saving, and then an emergency happens and you don't have something backed up. So I do encourage you guys to take an extra quiz if you guys have time in your busy schedules. But that was the class for today. Like I said, it was super short and sweet. Kind of just give you a little insight to your spending habits. You guys have any questions, thoughts? It's good. Yeah. It gets you thinking. And like I said, it changes because, my answers on this quiz, I was going through this and I'm like, I'm answering to my thought process today, which I told you guys is more a saving mindset. But if I would have took this quiz 5-6 years ago, it probably would have been vastly different. So, yeah. Well, awesome. Anything else?
Dinners and
Yeah.
don't do that out.
I'm very like I like to go to lunch with people, but I'm always like, "Oh, what an awkward thing to ask them to split the check or get our own checks." And I just overthink. And then I did this last week, and then I felt obligated to buy somebody lunch. And I'm like, why am I like this? I know I can't afford this, but I did do that last week. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then, you might get 4 drinks.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not all just gonna split it 5 ways.
And there are people like that just
Oh, yeah.
split, or like,
Split it 4 ways. Bro, I got a water and.
Yeah.
I always ask. Yeah.
You ask for separate checks up front. Yeah. And I think it's awkward too. We do that with family. Like my husband's family, when they come out here, they do like to have a couple drinks at a restaurant. So it's like if you split it, I'm pretty much paying for all your drinks and food, but I need to get brave like you. It's just an awkward thing for me. I'm shaking.
4 drinks. She had 2.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. I think it's easier in big groups for me. Like if there's a group of 10 of us friends, then we know that probably everyone's gonna have a separate check. But if it's just like one-on-one, that's those awkward ones for me. Cause I'm like, I know they probably know they're paying for themselves, but like, I don't want to be the one that's like, oh, can we get separate checks? I gotta work on that. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us again. You guys can take extra sandwiches if you want. We have some swag. Did you put any of the other swag I brought out?
Yeah.
You didn't put no yo-yos or balls or nothing?
Oh, no.
I brought the phone for you.
There's some sunglasses too.
These are actually really cool. They changed the orange in the car. These are my car glasses. I know. If they're in the sun, they're like activated.
See the yo-yos in this?
You have a light of yo-yo. I gotta give you a disclosure like I do my high school students. Because, so I get these out at the high schools and the kids love them, but they'll yo-yo while they're sitting down and they break if they hit the ground, and I tell them every time, and still, every time, one kid does it.
I'll get one. So, switch them out.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
Can't hit the ground, because they are a little cheap that way. If they hit the ground, they'll bust, but. And I did put some glasses cleaner too, if anybody wants the glasses cleaner.